Hello, welcome to another edition of The Revealing. I'm once again your host, Pavarotti, here to bring you information on the Idaho 4 case. As a disclaimer, this channel is for information and educational and entertainment purposes only. These are my opinions. I'm not here to slander anyone. With that being said, there's something I would really like to discuss on this video. Now, the information I'm going to discuss on this video will in no way contradict any of the theories that I've put forth so far. In fact, I believe it even backs them up further. So as I begin to question a really big aspect of this case, keep in mind this question is really designed to go against the law enforcement and media narrative of the case that they have against Mr. Kohberger. Now, although if you've watched my previous videos and you know my theory, I believe Mr. Kohberger is guilty. However, my opinion that he's guilty should not put this man in the electric chair, and neither should the narrative that law enforcement is going for. If he's truly guilty, then they need to have evidence that will truly convict him properly in a court of law. They shouldn't make up a scenario or make up evidence that will put a man to death. And I believe in our justice system, but I believe that the justice system can be manipulated. Now, what I want to discuss today is something that I haven't heard anybody else discuss. And this is a theory. I'm not saying it's correct, but it is a theory. And the more I ponder it, the more I think I might be onto something here. So let's go back to the law enforcement and media narrative about the motive in the case against Mr. Kohberger. Again, they portray Mr. Kohberger as someone who is an incel, who in many cases they portrayed him as somebody who is very interested in attractive women, yet he couldn't obtain those attractive women due to his social inabilities. And he fixated on them, stalked them, and then committed atrocities against them. And that's interesting. One thing that I've never been able to wrap my head around, though, and this does go against Mr. Kohberger in this aspect, is the fact that this young man, who's 28 years old, and although we've seen in a lot of videos that he has represented the skill set to at least obtain the phone numbers of women for potential romantic advancement, he apparently had a young lady who went on a quote-unquote date with him, although that lady didn't fit the bill of his supposed romantic desires. One thing I could never wrap my head around is the fact that this guy's 28 years old and not one young lady over that 28-year period has stepped forward and said, hey, this was my boyfriend. How do you go 28 years and not have a girlfriend? You would be really, really socially awkward, as they like to portray. Or maybe there's another explanation to this. And this one hit me like a ton of bricks when I seen a social media post. And I know you've all seen those where it shows, and it may or may not be real, we don't know that, but it shows Mr. Kohberger, shows one of his social media pages, and it lists below it who his potential followers could be, and it was a couple of the victims on there. Now, I didn't say he was following them. It said followers, like it was giving suggestions of who he could follow. And you know how the algorithms work. You know, they give you all those suggestions. Well, he didn't click on them. He wasn't following them. It was just a suggestion. But on that, most people would focus in on that. But my eyes went to something else. And for the life of me, I've tried to find this picture, and I can't find it anywhere now. But on that particular one, it showed Mr. Kohberger, gave a little information about him before it showed those potential people he could follow. and it listed Mr. Kohberger's pronouns. And it said he, him. Now, when I seen that, although I understand that a lot of the youth these days, they want to be politically correct and they want to list their pronouns, but this guy's 28 years old. He either has a ton of respect for the LBG plus T community, or this guy is potentially, how do I say this? I think he's more attracted to the same sex than he is the opposite sex. And if that's the case, that would certainly explain 28 years without anybody coming forward and saying, hey, I'm this guy's girlfriend. It would certainly contradict, though, the law enforcement and media narrative behind the motive in this case that they're trying to prosecute. So I would not be surprised if sometime during this trial, the defense exposes the fact that Mr. Kohberger not only doesn't chase women and stalk women, Mr. Kohberger doesn't even like women. It wouldn't surprise me one bit if it turns out Mr. Kohberger really likes the same sex. Now, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this because I haven't seen anything where anybody suggested this, but looking at the overall body of work, I'm thinking this seems to be something that is a real possibility. Let me know in your comments if you think I'm onto something here or not. This one is just me pondering and trying to solidify in my mind why this guy hasn't had a girlfriend in 28 years. Thank you for listening. Pavarotti out.